Good morning. Um, Here we are, October, um, 1st of October. So we're moving right along, getting on towards the end of the year. It's so funny. I was thinking the other day, I was trying to kind of remember the last time that I was at Garfield Park and realized that it had been really like a year and a half, you know. Um, because I remember the last time that we had class there, I was not, uh, well, in the class I had on Thursday, there were a couple of ladies who were uh, newer, I guess, to the class, and we were talking about the whole 55 and over class or a program that they have. So they were talking about signing up for that, and it occurred to me that the last time I was teaching, I was not old enough to join up, but hey, I'm old enough now. That much time has passed. So there you go. So yeah, time passes quickly. And as you've probably noticed, it happens, feels like it happens even quicker the older you get. Um, that seems to be a constant, right? That when you're kids, it feels like time drags. And then the older you get, it just moves so very quickly. And it's so easy to lose track of how long it's been for certain things. We're always running into this around the house with like appliances, where something will stop working and you'll be like, I just bought that. I can't believe that this thing is broken. And then you actually go back and look, and yeah, maybe you just bought it 10 years ago and you can't believe that it's actually, I can't believe that things that are 10 years old stop working, although that seems to be the case. Um, I'm going to sound like an old person here, but I remember when I was a kid, uh, we had a refrigerator at my dad's business, an old refrigerator, I guess that had maybe been their first refrigerator when he and my mom got married, that was a hand-me-down from someone. I think it was from the late 40s, early 50s, and it worked perfectly fine. There was no problem with it. It was one of those with the hinge, like a door latch that you pulled and it popped open and then shut. It was cool, and I wish I had one now. Or honestly, I just wish I had a 20 to 30 year lifespan on my appliances as it is. That would be great. Um, but even so, even things that are pretty that do last a long time, it's easy for us to kind of lose track of how long it's been. I was thinking about the porch floor, the front porch that I worked on. That seemed like I just finished that project. But then Google reminded me with some pictures that it was 2 years ago that I painted the porch floor, and it looks like it could use it. And when I painted it, I thought, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to give that another coat next year. I forgot all about it, right? So this is the long way to say that, and we've seen this right in other things. Time is relative. It is elastic, and it is not um, the same. Our perception of time is different. I mean, you can get into arguments about the quantum nature of time, and does it really is it really a constant, or is it elastic? I can't tell you that for sure. I don't know that anyone can, but I can tell you that our perception changes with time, about time, and in different times. Um, so we need the constants. We need some manner of record, a way to keep track of this, because clearly our own perception is variable. And our perception is that way for many things, right? Um, we want to be careful what we trust, right? Do we trust our perception about things, about situations? I mean, maybe. We talked about this, I think, on Wednesday, this idea that this intelligence and perception that we get from within, from the spirit, and from our body is very reliable, may, perhaps much more reliable than our own senses can be in terms of accuracy and not being swayed by our perception, right? Um, so it's important to touch back with that internal intelligence, but also, rely on help, right? Keep track of things in other ways. Notice the milestones in your life and take note of them. Um, One thing that I think, I don't know if every, I mean, I don't know that everyone has an issue with this, but I know for us, it's hard. My husband and I always say that we suffer from a lack of occasion, that we don't perhaps celebrate the things um, that we should. We tend to let things move by without much to do. Um, and we're okay with that, but I do think that you can miss out sometimes when if that's how you tend to do things. That doesn't mean you have to go crazy. You don't have to, like, throw a $10,000 birthday party for your 1 year old, right? But celebrating and making note of the milestones in your life and in the people around you's life is important. Um, it it's a ritual, right? And one of the things that we don't have a lot of in our culture is ritual. Um, Ritual is, um, again, a way of celebrating, a way of drawing attention to something which is of value or of importance to us. Um, and yoga is a way to kind of, I think, slide into this idea of ritual. Um, it's probably the closest that many of us come to of a ritual, right? We go through the movements. We maybe have some shavasana. We greet each other at the beginning, greet each other at the ending. There is a little form to what we do here. Um, and if you're doing it on a daily basis or almost a daily basis, it becomes a little part of your day, right? And you may have other little rituals. Maybe you haven't really thought about that they are a ritual, but maybe there's a certain time of day that you always go for a walk, or perhaps you sit down. My husband has a ritual called coffee. No, I'm sorry, chocolate o'clock, and it usually comes sometime in the afternoon, maybe a couple hours after his lunch, when he's starting to feel a little droopy, and uh, probably has some work to do, but he's starting to get sleepy and doesn't feel like getting to work. He gets a handful of M&Ms or some kind of chocolate, and um, he used to drink a coffee then too. I don't think he does anymore because caffeine is makes him stay awake now. But he still has that chocolate, and that's marks the end, uh, the beginning of the afternoon, and the end of the workday is in sight. So the what ritual does for us is it gives us a structure. It gives us a boundary, right, to our day. It, it it allows us to structure our day a little bit. Um, and this can be very helpful. I know when I was a kid, I resisted structure to pretty much any degree. I hated the idea that I would have to do the same thing every day, that I would, all of these things that were, uh, scheduled bothered me. I didn't like it. I didn't want to have a schedule. I had to live off a schedule, right? And this, kind of desire to do this led to, being largely very disorganized with things and not really meeting my responsibilities. Um, and as I got older, I realized not only are these um, tasks inevitable, right? If you want to live uh, a life where you're taking care of your own responsibilities, you have to do it. But the rituals and the plans, the schedules, are what kept it from being too oppressive. So when I was younger, I thought of schedules as a yoke, right? But I didn't realize that they are a yoke in that um, they help you to perform, right? When you write things down, when you make a list, when you have a set schedule, this day I do this day I do that. It doesn't have to be set in stone, but doing these things, setting up this framework, allows you to relax. It allows you to not stop thinking about all of those things, right? So when you don't have a day to pay bills, then you spend every day thinking about bills. Oh, I think there's something due. I gotta look that up and pay it. So every day maybe you have to think about something, look it up, decide whether you're going to pay it or not. Probably not. Probably put it off and then come back to it some other time. And then, by the end of the month, the bills are late. You've already spent the money and you're in a bad state, right? Uh, if you have one day to think about all these things and get it taken care of, it gets done. And you don't have to think about it because well, I don't have to think about any of that until this day. That's when I'm going to do it. Same thing with any kind of task. If you can schedule it, it's likely to get done. If you can't schedule it or don't schedule it, you're going to think about it all the time. Um, and you're going to wonder, well, when am I going to do that? Oh, this floor is really dirty. Do I have time to do it now? Or when am I going to do that? I don't know. Oh, I might do that next week. And, by next week, there's a bunch of other things. So there's a freedom in scheduling, which sounds backwards, but as with many things in life, um, there is there's an intelligence to how these things are done that um, we kind of come to realize. As children and teenagers, maybe we think we know everything, right? And unfortunately, some people never outgrow that phase, right? They still think they know everything. They still think they're the only ones that have the answers. But in truth, everybody has a bit of the answer. And if we look back at some of the things that our ancestors did, that our family members may have done, that, that kind of folk wisdom, the things that your grandma told you to do, grandmas were washing on one day and shopping on one day, and right. It seems old fashioned, but the old fashioned things work. They were done that way because they made sense. And it wasn't because they didn't know any better or whatever. They had a understanding of the nature of things that we don't necessarily give them credit for. So take take a note from Grandma's book, and see if those things can help you in your life as well. Um, I found that a lot of them can, and a lot of that very um, sensible sensible suggestions work for every generation that comes along. Because when you think about it, even though everyone likes to think that we are so advanced, that our society has advanced so much, that technology has changed the way we live and the way we do things, indeed it has. Not always for the better either, but our essential nature as human beings has not changed that much. Our the things we you know the things we believe, the lies that we tell each other, the stories that we hold in our heads, our fears and our insecurities, these things are constant. They're the same as they were before. They may be about different things, right? We may worry more about the robots now than we worried 100 years ago, but we still have the same basic drives and desires and needs. Um, and we're not put together all that differently. So maybe now we can keep a digital list instead of a paper list. Um, Maybe now we can have um, our calendar give us reminders, right? We can use that tool. So if anything, the technology that we have now, um, it may make some of these tasks a little easier, but the tasks are the same, and our need to do them is the same. So make use of the technology where you can, but don't fall into that sort of trap where we think that technology has solved our problem. Um, it really hasn't. And in many ways, it's made it a little more complicated than it was before. Um, but it's also a tool, and it's a tool we can use to help structure our life, to help get ourselves, in a better way, and go from there. Um, so yeah, make use of technology. Listen to your grandma, and celebrate what there is to celebrate. My son is well, and he's off his quarantine now, and we had a party yesterday, um, because it's a great thing. Um, if you told me 2 years ago I'd be celebrating my son coming out of quarantine, I would have said you're crazy. But there we go. And I think, if one thing that one of the things that we've learned maybe from this whole pandemic situation and the COVID is how precious the time that we have with each other is, um, how precious life is, and that nothing is for granted. We can't take anything for granted. Um, I think for many years we were perhaps one of the first generations to believe that our health um, was for granted, right? Our good health, public health, right? All of these things were done. We were done with all of these things. We were done with these diseases that kill people, the polio and the smallpox, and the Spanish flu, and all of these things that earlier generations had to go through, and had understood the seriousness of them. We were spared that. Um, we were a little bubble in time, but that bubble is burst now, and um, we are back where we were before, which is perhaps a more realistic expectation. So it's it's a little shift in how we look at things, but um, it is, we are very lucky in many ways to have what we have. And the time that we have together is so precious, either because of we're well, but also because we can be together. That's another thing I think people were reminded of, hopefully, during the pandemic and the lockdown, how um, the time that we can spend with other people, visiting, doing things together, how precious that is. Because again, it can be taken away. We can be in a situation where that simply is not possible. And it's not great. We don't enjoy it. So hopefully, people will take advantage of the time that they can be together and appreciate that. Um, and realize what a privilege that is, that we are able to be together and do things together. So, yeah, so it's fun. It's been fun doing class. I had a good time doing class this week. It's nice to be back in the building. Um, there's a couple of new ladies administering um, uh, the office. Very nice. And Sean is back, so it's nice to see her from before. And yeah, it's good. And the garden is growing along. I didn't give it much water, but if we've got a little bit of rain lately, so I think it's doing okay. Um, I'll check it again next week. But I'm not going to do that much this fall because I had plans for like a big fall garden, but it occurred to me that I can't really starting seeds there is going to be difficult unless I know that we're going to get a ton of rain, because if they dry out, they won't sprout. And that really means watering every day. And I do not necessarily want to drive to Newcastle to water my garden every day. I, I may have to in the summer. We'll see, how hot it gets and what that's about. But um, I maybe, putting some established little plants might work better next fall. Fall. I'm very interested in the idea of fall garden, though. I know that we can do that around here. I just never have pursued it that much. Usually, by the time fall comes around, I'm kind of sick of the garden, um, and that's probably okay too. But if I started some little plants, then we could probably go from there. But we'll see. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that next year. I hope that it will also get me energized to work on my own garden, uh, which really went to seed this year. I have a lot to do, and that's going to be a fall project to kind of reclaim all of that ground. Um, and if we get some more rain, I probably will. Right now, I think the ground is so dry that it would be hard to do much, but I will. What I like about the community garden, though, is those raised beds are so nice. They're so easy to cultivate and dig. It's not. It isn't like in the ground where it's a whole big thing. All right, so let's move around a little. Sitting up tall. Breath in and then drop the chin. Back up. Keep lifting. Head back to center. Take a breath. And then lower the head over to the right. Back up and move the head to the left. Not forcing, not pushing, just staying within your range of movement. Back up. Let's lean forward. Back up, hands behind, lean back, squeeze the shoulder blades together. And back up. Bring arms wide, take a deep breath, and then exhale, hands together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers, lift the hands, gaze up. And then arms down by the side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Inhale, lift. And lower. Once more, lifting up. And then right hand by your side, reach across. Switch. Back up, lift the shoulders, roll them back. And forward. Right hand on left knee, left arm behind. Sit up tall, take a twist. Back to center, switch. Bring the legs out front. Point and flex the feet. And then rotate through the ankles. That is a lot of noise coming from my feet. I'm not worried about that. It happens, right? If you're hearing popping and cracking and there's no pain, I wouldn't worry about it. You're just loosening things up. Bring that knee in. I'm sitting tall. And then lower that knee down. You've got the foot right next to the leg here. Take a deep breath and then folding forward. Back up. Switch things around here. So Hugging that leg in, sitting up tall. And then lowering. Deep breath. Reaching forward. And we're back up. Both legs out in front. Deep breath. And fold. And then we're back up. Let's bring the left hand to the outside of the right knee, right arm behind, sit tall. Another twist through the shoulders. Back to center and twist. And back. Let's lower down onto the mat. We've got feet on the mat. Give yourself room so that you're not off the mat when you come down. Just rest here for a moment. Breathe. Let's hold that right leg in. And then switch. And then extend both legs. Take a few breaths. Let's bring the soles of the feet together, knees apart. And we're going to bring the arms up over your head. And back to center. Let's bring the knees together. Walk the feet to the outer edges of the mat. Let's take a few breaths here. You can bring hands onto the belly. And then walk the heels back so they're close to the body. Feet are about hip width apart. Moving into bridge. If you don't want to do regular bridge, you could do supported bridge, but we're just going to do, maybe we'll do a regular bridge and then a supported bridge. Okay? Pressing down, hands and feet, we're lifting. Lower back down. And then take your block. Lifting up, we find a place where things feel steady. And then let's lift up. Remove the block. And we're back down on the mat. Maybe Feet together, knees apart again. Let's bring the knees together. I'll hug them in. Move a little side to side. And then extend the legs. And we'll lower down. Go one leg at a time. Or you could go both together. And then just finding a place to be in your Shavasana. Relax and breathe. Find your steadiness. Keep your breath moving through the body. Feeling comfortable and at peace. Try to keep your focus on what's happening right now in this space. Sometimes we resist that, right? We feel bored or we're afraid of the quiet. Many times we fill our life with noise because we're afraid of the silence. Maybe not the silence itself, but what that might dredge up for you. Maybe there's a voice that is inside your head that is not a very kind voice. Maybe we are extremely critical of ourselves. Or we are working through some process of grief or sadness that raises up in those quiet places in our life. Whatever it might be, we have the option to not do that, right? Um, it may take some practice to release those thoughts, to set them aside, and to come back to that focus. But it's like training, right? It's like physical training, doing push ups or sit ups or lifting weights, whatever it is that people do for physical training. There's nothing inherently interesting about that. It's kind of boring, but they are working towards a goal. In this, we are working towards a goal of focus, a goal of control over our internal thoughts, over our internal um, dialogue, shall we say. And we aren't going to get there just at first, right? And we're not going to get there if we don't work at it, if we don't find what works for us, the technique that allows us to do this. And for everybody, it's going to be a little different. For some, it's images, right? Focusing on an image. Some people focus on the inhale, exhale. Some people focus on words. They have a little, what we call mantra, right? The little phrase or series of words that steady them, that they can turn their focus to. Something that is um, of interest to you, but not so interesting that you start going off on some tangent thinking about other things, right? Something that you can cling on to and keep as your focus. This is extremely useful for so many things in our life. Learning to focus, learning to release our distraction level, right? And you will find as you work on this through meditation, through yoga, the asana practice, even, um, it improves so many things in your life. It improves your ability to tune out the distractions. It raises your, I would say, tolerance level for distractions and for the noise and the chaos that's spinning all around you. Um, it's certainly, um, it takes some practice to do that. But honestly, I think the biggest step is just knowing that we can, knowing that we don't have to be sucked into other people's drama, other people's noise, other people's chaos. We can, even if we are trying to help them, even if we are in the situation, we are not of the situation, right? There's a difference. Um, in one, we are able to think clearly and to help. In the other, we are just as crippled by fear and worry and whatever that chaotic situation is bringing up. We're right down in there. We are in that situation. We are of that situation when we allow that to take over. Instead, let us be in it, but not of it. So we are there. We are living in the world. We're not living in a cave somewhere where it's easy to be serene. We are in the world where it's hard to hold on to your serenity. It's hard to keep a cool head when everyone around you is losing theirs, right? But knowing that it is possible to do that is the first step. I believe that many people don't even know that. They think it is inevitable to be destroyed by whatever comes through your life. Um, this is not an inevitable state of being. We can modulate our response. We can feel the feelings without acting the feelings, right? We can let things move through us instead of tear us down. So we know this, right? Um, and we work on it. And eventually you'll go through a situation where this will come in handy. And when that happens, then you really know that you can do it and that you are doing it and you have been doing it. So that's what we practice for. We practice for the real life. There is certainly a lot of theory and philosophy when it comes to yoga, but yoga's real effectiveness and its real function for our purposes is the overall improvement of our function in daily life, our ability to be um, effective, to be productive, to hold on to our beliefs, right? To act on our beliefs, even in a stressful time, a difficult situation. Because let's face it, our life is a lot of series of difficult situations, right? um, I don't know anyone who would characterize their life as easy. Certainly, we can look at other people's lives and they may look like they're having an easier time than we are. But Everyone has their challenges. Don't forget that. Um, what we see on the outside is such a poor reflection of what people's internal struggles are. So um, do not envy others. Don't minimize their experience because you don't know what they've been going through, just as they don't know what you've been going through. So we are kind. Um, it's a good idea to be kind to begin with, but that's a really good reason why. Because the people around you probably need it. When you're ready, we're going to come out of um, Shavasana. Start making your way up to a seat. One of these days, I'm going to remember to bring my bells out here. I've got two sets. There's no reason I shouldn't have one here and one in my bag, but I never remember. Let's bring hands together. Take a deep breath in and out. Thank you for sharing yoga with me this morning. I hope that you have an excellent Friday and a great weekend. Namaste. Okay, let's move straight into some meditation. Find a comfortable seat. Whatever that is for you today. Breathe, holding that steady, peaceful focus, not hard, scary focus, but just a calm and peaceful focus. Breathe and relax. Okay, we're back. That seemed like a fast 5 minutes to me, but again, everybody's perception is going to be different. All right, so I'm off for the weekend, and I will be back here on Monday and Tuesday, Thursday at Garfield Park. Here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I will see you then.